Okay, I think we're ready to begin. Just want to say hello to everyone who's joining us, and welcome to the second webinar in our series supporting QI. It's very exciting to have you as part of this as we go forward in our second webinar. I just want to ask at the beginning, if you could type in the chat box on your webinar control panel the number of participants you have at your site watching this webinar. We just want to get a sense of who's joining us today and how many folks are there. So just going to begin with some of the technical webinar information. And let you know you should be hearing us through your computer speakers right now. If you're having trouble hearing us through the computer, we also can have you dial in by phone. And if you need to do that, please just type in the question box that you're having trouble, and we'll provide you with a phone number to call in. We are going to ask that questions be reserved until the end of the presentation today. And you can, throughout the presentation, type your questions in the question box, but we won't answer them until the end. And all of the slides and the material discussed today will be available for you after this session on our E-QIP community of practice. And last but not least, we always want to know how we're doing so that we can improve. So I'd ask that at the end of the session you take a few minutes to complete our very brief survey about the webinar. This is just some technical information. If you want to close the little dialog box with the webinar information, there's the kind of orange-yellow arrow you can use to close that box so you can see the full screen. And just in case you're having trouble hearing us, check your speakers to make sure that they are not muted. So I'll begin by introducing who's going to be presenting today. I'm obviously Michael Dunn, not the other three folks on the screen. And I'm co-lead for the Excellence Through Quality Improvement project, which is a joint initiative between CMHA Ontario, Addictions and Mental Health Ontario, and Health Quality Ontario. And my co-lead, Sandra Cunning, who's with AMHO, is unfortunately not able to be with us here today, but sends her regards. Also joining us to present today is Jennifer Zosky. And Jennifer works at Community Care Information Management, or CCIM, and she's the Clinical Assessment Specialist for the OCAN. She's worked in the mental health and addiction sector for about 29 years, and she helps organizations with improving the quality and use of OCAN information to support client care. Also joining us will be Ruth Taro. Ruth is the Executive Director of the Oak Center Clubhouse program located in Welland. And Rue is also the chair for the OCAN Community of Interest Committee and co-chair of the Common Assessment and Integrated Assessment Record Clinical Standards Subcommittee. So we're very lucky to have Ruth joining us as well. And last but not least, we're also joined by Kim Lewis, who's Program Manager for the Southwest ACT Team Case Management and Seniors Case Management with CMHA York South Simcoe Branch. So I'm going to start with a very, very quick introduction and reminder of who E-QIP is, just in case you're not familiar with us. As I mentioned, we are a three-way partnership between CMHA Ontario, Addictions Mental Health Ontario, and Health Quality Ontario, and we're an 18-month partnership pilot project to help support quality improvement in the community mental health and addiction sector, and really helping to support you in the work that you do. And build on the already existing commitment to providing high-quality care to individuals and families that we serve. So we offer a menu of supports to the sector, including quality improvement and data coaching, among others. One of those offerings being this supportive webinar series that you're participating in today. If you have questions about any of the offerings or how to become more involved, please feel free to email either myself or Sandra, and our contact information will be available at the end of this webinar. We will be offering monthly supporting QI webinars, this being the second, and trying to focus on those areas that help help support you in doing quality improvement work. And if you have any suggested topics for us for future, please feel free to email us at thequality@equip.ca, and we'll try to make sure we offer something that meets your needs. So without any further ado, I'm now going to hand it over to Jenna Berzowski, who's going to talk to you about the OCAN.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Mike. We're very pleased to get the invitation to speak about OCAN and how OCAN can support quality improvement. And really the session the objectives of the session is to understand how OCAN can be used to support quality improvement. So there's 201 organizations that are using OCAN and put a lot of time and effort into doing that with clients. And so really the objective of this session is to have folks doing all that work to put it to good use in terms of quality improvement and supporting the work with clients. So I'm going to talk to you about the OCAN Quality Toolkit that's available, a little bit of a description about that. Learn about some of the OCAN reports or the OCAN data at an individual level and aggregate level and how that could be used to support quality improvement. And then very fortunate to have Kim and Rue hearing from two health service providers. Sometimes we use the code HSP organizations about their experience using OCAN. So before we dive into OCAN, just wanted to start by getting a bit grounded and looking at quality improvement work that's been and direction that has been supported in our sector. And every door is the right door. The mental health strategy document talks about common standards, to be using some common standards in the sector to help improve the quality and consistency of services provincially. And then there's the Excellent Care for All Act, that legislation that came out in 2010. And one of their pieces in the legislation document is that healthcare providers improve the quality of the care they deliver based on the best available scientific evidence. And then we have E-QIP description, and this is from the CMHA Ontario website. And that big objective of the E-QIP is to help organizations provide services that use the best information available, trends in client outcomes that can be reviewed, and interventions that can be adapted accordingly. So what does that mean? Where does OCAN fit in? And really where it fits in is that OCAN is one source of information that can contribute to your organization's quality improvement effort. Just going to spend a really brief few moments on the background of OCAN, because I think probably it's been around for several years now, probably about 6 years now in full implementation, and you may be aware of it, but for those who don't, I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes. The Ontario Common Assessment of Need was selected by the community mental health sector through a steering committee representative of a number of stakeholders, and the decision of which evidence-based, internationally used tool that was selected is the Camberwell Assessment of Need. And in addition to the Camberwell Assessment of Need, there were some a data elements working group, and additional elements were added to the Camberwell to reflect Ontario's community mental health sector, and that became the OCAN. The Ontario Common Assessment of Need is a provincial standardized assessment tool for the community mental health sector. And 201 out of 260 organizations that were in scope for OCAN implemented OCAN, and the integrated assessment record, which is uploads of the assessment to the IAR Central Data Repository that can be used to be a viewer for consented assessments to be viewed to support sharing of information, and also a secondary use of a database to be able to analyze and look at the OCAN data. The current focus right now of CCIM, Community Care and Information Management, is to help maintain the quality of OCANs, and really a focus the more focus now has really been on how to use the OCAN information to support quality care. OCAN is a supports a consumer-driven approach, as there's the inclusion of a self-assessment. And the idea is not to change the style of work that organizations do with their clients, but to have a common template that supports conversations about with consumers, about their needs, strengths, and actions. Also to provide data to inform quality improvement planning. So OCAN at a glance, just some components of the components that make up OCAN. And the way we do our training is we talk about, on the right-hand side, you'll see who, what, and where as a way to conceptualize the different components of OCAN. And the who is in the middle, the consumer information summary, and that provides a profile of the client, of who we're serving. And then there's the what, which is the needs assessment part, which is what does the client need? What are their areas that they're experiencing problems and areas that they're doing well? And that is used with, that's done and recorded through a consumer self-assessment and as well as a staff assessment. And then the where is the mental health functional center use section, which records where the client is going into the community mental health service for services. I'm going to focus for a moment on the needs assessment part, and the way it works in OCAN is it covers 24 different life domains, from medical conditions to social determinants of health, and identifies where there's areas of needs in those domains. This is a quick picture of the consumer self-assessment, and the consumer self-assessment has all those 24 domains, and then it asks the client to rate where they are with that particular area of their life. The anchor question just below, and this first one shows accommodation as an area. What kind of place do you live? That's really not to be answered literally, but helps the client to think about that area of their life. And then they would tick off one of the 4 possible options on the right. And no need is that area of their life is going well, they don't need any help, they're self-sufficient in that area. Met need is that area of their life is going pretty well, but it's because they're getting some help. They're getting help, and if that help were taken away, it could become a problem. So getting support in some way from services, family, or friends. And then unmet need is an area in their life where they're experiencing problems that it's standing in the way of their recovery, or I don't want to answer. Clients also have the option not to do the self-assessment. And then the staff assessment, again, just a quick picture of what this looks like, and what the first question in the 24 domains is mapped to and corresponds to the consumer self-assessment. But this is just a score and a numerics rating that the staff are trained in on how to score no need, met need, or unmet need. And then they also look at what level of help the client is getting from friends, family, and services, and what level of help the client actually needs. If there's a discrepancy between what they're getting and what they need, that often dictates to complete an action in that area. So there's free text fields where you can do a comment to understand the context as well as an action. I'm going to talk a little bit about the OCAN Quality of Toolkit, just really a high-level overview of it. The actual toolkit will be posted on the Community of Practice so you can read. It's a pretty easy read because really what it's about is real examples of practical ways and meaningful ways that organizations have improved the quality of their OCANs and the use of the OCAN information. And really the success of if you decide to use the toolkit is that you walk away with at least one strategy to help monitor the quality of OCAN and using the OCAN information to benefit clients served. What's in the toolkit is a framework, and this framework was developed with sector input on how to develop a framework around this quality for OCAN. Sector examples as well as worksheets, and the worksheets will also be posted on the Community of Practice. So I'm just going to quickly walk through the framework, and then I'm going to leave this piece and go on to reports. The framework is around the concept of input, output, and review. and it's a continuous quality improvement, which is signified by the arrows. In the input, really what it is asking the question, how do you ensure that information in your organization going into OCAN is of good quality? What do you do in your organization to help maintain that quality? Anything from having team mentors in teams around OCAN, refresher training, team meetings where you're talking about OCAN and seeing if you're on the same page in terms of rating. Output is what OCAN information can be pulled from the OCAN that can support your organization's quality effort. So there's a number of different elements in the OCAN. What elements are important to your organization to look at and monitor as you take on quality improvement initiatives? And then finally, review is where are you going to review that information? What kind of forums are you going to use to be on a regular basis reviewing that information? So I'm going to stop there on the toolkit. Again, just to say that it's practical. There are worksheets, and I encourage you to take a look at that for your organization if you're using OCAN, and you can connect with me. There's information at the end of my slides around how to connect if you have any questions. I'm going to move to the report. So for organizations, I think E-QIP heard that the interest was around the understanding the OCAN data and how it can be used. So there's two different kinds of categories of OCAN information. One is software generated, and that means that in the organization's internal software, specifications were written to build in the assessment and also to build in some reports. And there are 4 reports that were built, and I'm going to just share one example. And then the second category is IAR generated. So from those OCANs that have been uploaded to the central data repository, the integrated assessment record, there's 6, it's actually 12, but there's A's and B's. So it's 6 reports that can be generated at the aggregate level for you to take a look at. This is a funny cartoon on the unknown versus evidence. And a lot of times in the community health sectors, we have some very important narratives to talk about and explore, and that should never be discounted. But we want to start to look at more data and evidence to help understand how we're doing, as well as understand where we should focus our services and our quality improvement efforts. So I'm going to show you one example of a software-generated report, and this is about a single individual client. And it can be used to review with clients information about their progress, and also it can be used in supervision or in team meetings as well. And it shows change in needs over time. The OCAN standard is to complete an OCAN every 6 months. So this looks at a series of OCAN and what's changed over time. And you can customize the tool, so the report. So on the left-hand side of the box, sort of in the middle, you can actually pick which OCANs that are completed, that were completed with that consumer that you want to look at. And then on the right-hand, that small box, it allows you to select all or just some of those 24 domains. If you look at the report, I'll just give you an example. On the right-hand side is the earliest OCAN, and then moving toward the left is the subsequent OCANs that are done. And if you look at psychological distress, it shows on the right-hand side, when the first assessment was done, that it was identified both by consumer and staff as a problem area and unmet need. And then as you move to the next one, going to the left, it converted to a met need. So that area in the person's life was managed, and they were getting help for it. And then it moved to a no need in the last OCAN, where they are doing well and they no longer need the help. So that really shows a clear progress over time, and that research shows that helping to convert an unmet need to either a met need or no need, helping consumers be able to do that, leads to positive outcomes. In the bottom one, company, I just want to give you this example because it's not necessarily a deterioration if you go from a no need to an unmet need. So in this one, company, it actually shows from the right moving toward the left that it gets converted to a met need and an unmet need. You need to explore with the client what that's about, because the client may have had basic needs in their life being a real problem for them when they initially came into service, like housing and food. And so company wasn't really on their radar. And it was only until those were met that some new needs popped up, and that actually is progress. So it's about a conversation. How does this support quality? It's really on a one-on-one basis with clients. The idea is this could be a tool to help support progress. An organization said that they shared this tool with a client, and it really resonated and helped them identify what their accomplishments have been, as well as being able to measure and look at what the next step should be for them. Now I'm going to talk about the standardized IAR reports and just quickly what they contain, and then I won't show you all the reports, just a few examples so you get a sense of the information. It's de-identified aggregate data, so there's no personal health information. It's about an organization's client population. And it's the most recent OCAN for every consumer that has been active within a 12-month period. And it captures the most recent picture of your client population. 3 of the reports are by the total organization, and then 3 of them, reports 4 to 6, are broken down by service type or functional center to do more specific program planning. So I'm just going to show you a few examples of these reports. The first one is report number 1, and this is an aggregate assessment response. And what that means is it takes every single element of the raw elements in OCAN, and it gives you a total count as well as a percentage of each of the responses. So I'm going to give you an example of one piece. It's a very long report because it's every single data element. And the data elements are not just the domains of need, but they're also a lot of demographic information as well. This question, as an example, is on the OCAN about whether a client is connected to a family doctor, yes or no. And in this one, it's showing that 53% of consumers are connected to a family doctor, and the organization was interested in improving that percentage. So they want to do some connecting and partnering with primary health care, family health teams, community health centers, to increase that number so that more of their client population is connected to a doctor. And they benchmark that they want to have an increase of to 65%. And this was a little bit of an old slide, so this was last year that they had that benchmark. This shows, again, with primary health and physical health issues, that they want to look at that area and support their clients in that area. They wanted to look at what were the common conditions. And one that came out as more common than they expected was arthritis. So again, from a quality improvement standpoint, they're thinking about how they can offer or make links with services that can help with education around arthritis, and diabetes was another one that they wanted to look at. I'm moving to a newer report, and this report does list all of the domains, all of the rated domains, and it goes from highest area of unmet need, so biggest problem areas, to lowest. And this particular organization looked at their top 5, and then they focused in, when they did their planning on quality improvement, on 2 areas, physical health and daytime activities, that they felt that they could improve or better support their clients. And what they developed were groups, the community kitchen and walking group, both to help cover areas of physical health and daytime activities, as well as they develop a partnership with a chronic disease program to help their clients better access those kinds of services for physical health issues. The next report is similar, but it actually organizations like this because it combines 2 different ratings around the needs assessment, both met and unmet need, and it's broken down by service type. The reason why we've heard feedback that this is a good one to look at is because the definition of met need is that area of life, for that person they're managing fairly well, was because they're getting support, and often they're getting support from formal services. So if you're going to ask the question, what areas should we be making sure we're focusing our service activities on, it's helpful to look at both the unmet need and the met need together. So in this case, circled that psychological distress, daytime activities, and physical health were those top areas. It can also help to inform funders from a quality standpoint of where you're meeting needs and where you may need more resources to better address needs. The last report I wanted to show you is a change in unmet need over time, because this one can actually help organizations demonstrate how they are contributing to helping clients convert unmet need areas to met need or no need, which leads to, is shown and proven that it leads to better client outcomes. This is over an 18-month period, and it takes OCAN sets. And an OCAN set, it is aggregate, but it's counting for each set is one set is two assessments from the same client. So it matches the client and looks at those two from the most recent assessment and then counting 6 months earlier. And this shows you from the previous assessment, meaning the first assessment in the set, looks at all of the domains and the number of clients that rated those domains as an unmet need. So that column on the left where it says previous assessment, it shows you broken down by functional center and then the various domains. And if you look at let's say the middle one, looking after the home, there were 6 clients that, the numbers are really low here, but there are 6 clients that identified that as an unmet need. What happened 6 months later? And 6 months later, you look at the percentages that were converted to a met need or a no need. And that can help you look at how your organization is helping to contribute to changing needs for clients and where they may need some more support. For instance, daytime activities, this organization wants to focus a little bit more on that to see if they can make more of a difference. And then this is just a quick bullets about the process that organizations use to review reports. Often it's reviewed by decision support or a coordinator, and then it should help determine the most useful reports, summarizing those reports, and then bringing it to the appropriate meetings, deciding on activities to help with quality improvement, like staff training or new programming, and then how to plan and implement those activities and to use the reports to measure those activities. There's a number of pieces of OCAN-related work. It's a lot. I'm going to be quick on them, but if you want more information about any of these activities, you can get in touch with CCIM. There's OCAN quality webinars that are run 4 times a year on helping to maintain good quality OCANs as well as using the OCANs. There's also a community of interest, and we might talk a little bit about this as well. Similar to a community of practice, it's a group of stakeholders that share, because there's so many service providers using OCAN, share practices, challenges, strategies, and Oak Center as well as CAMH, the Evidence Exchange Network, supports that community of interest. There's also another community of interest for racialized populations and mental health and addictions, and they've done some work this year with the OCAN community of interest on how OCAN can help support advancing health equity issues. The OCAN reports that are available, both organizations, and there's some similar reports that I just presented for the LINs. And then we're linked to E-QIP, which is wonderful, helping to find synergies in the work of the 2 projects. There's a review going to happen this year of the OCAN tool for a new version update. OCAN is also a data source that is being looked at to help support the mental health and addiction strategy and the data and performance measurement work as a province. And then we are engaging with a team that's implementing the addictions tool as well, because we know services are integrated, a number of services are integrated in their mental health and addictions programs, and there's a new tool being used, and we're talking about how to work together on that. And then there's provincial use of data. I won't talk about each one in detail, but there's some excellent work that is starting around the analysis of OCAN data from a provincial standpoint by the scientists listed below on helping with quality improvement, how OCANs can be used as indicators, and understanding the potential for OCAN in helping to monitor performance of organizations. Thank you so much. Here's the contact information. I am going to hand it back over to Mike before you hear from the other presenters.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. That was very helpful. And I just wanted to help highlight the connection for folks, because hopefully you can see in what Jennifer shared the value in those reports that are available from the IAR, which can really help you to see, as Jennifer pointed out, if there's certain health issues or challenges that a group of your clients or service recipients are experiencing, and then how that can be tied to planning programs or partnerships, and for doing quality improvement. So I think there's a beautiful segue between the work that Jennifer's highlighting with the IAR and the OCAN to doing quality improvement. And to share more on that, I'm just going to pass it over to Rue with the Oak Center.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so privileged to be able to speak to you this afternoon. We're very much excited by our involvement with E-QIP, and of course, we love doing the OCAN. It gives us such great results that to share the two of our new prospects with you and our new experiences with you are a privilege for us. So I'm going to begin by talking about what the clubhouse, what Oak Center is, and what is the work is that we do. And then I'm going to talk to you about OCAN and then our relationship with E-QIP. So I'd like to give you a brief description of Oak Center, and then in my description of Oak Center, I'll be able to describe what it is that we use the OCAN for at the center. We're a community mental health program. We followed the clubhouse model and the principles of psychosocial rehabilitation. We serve individuals with serious mental illness who call themselves members, and we offer comprehensive support. Our focus is on recovery and the social determinants of health. We have no wait lists in Clubhouse, so as soon as you are determined to meet the eligibility criteria, you become a member, sometimes on the same day that you enter the doors of the center. Oak Center got involved with OCAN early on as a pilot site to test the instrument as it was being developed. We continue to be proponents of the tool today because we have found it to be effective in meeting the needs of the people we serve. It certainly has improved our delivery of service. So we continued using the OCAN and began to integrate the data from the OCAN into members' recovery plans, which were used for goal setting and strategic planning. We used reports of unmet needs early on in the use of OCAN data to support members to reach their goals. I'd like to share with you an example. We used the data from a member's OCAN to help him with an unmet need. He identified domain 15, company. Are you happy with your social life? Do you wish you had more contact with others? And domain 16, intimate relationships. Do you have a partner? As an unmet need. He lost contact with his family when he first experienced a psychiatric crisis. We helped him get an email account and join Facebook to search for his children. He was able to find his adult children and his brother out east. He has been in contact with them ever since. He has Sunday dinners with them and even babysits his grandchildren. He has reconnected to his brother and regularly speaks to him by phone. He isn't on Facebook anymore, but he used it to meet his need to reconnect to his family. We have many more examples of such success. Social media is an even playing field and offers our members opportunities to reconnect with friends and family. We make sure that people understand how to protect their privacy and set up protective firewalls. So here we were going along happily doing our OCANs, but we started to feel that we were not as effective as we could be. And also, we wondered about the use of OCAN in recovery plans and in program planning. We thought that both those endeavors could improve. Oak Center and E-QIP. We heard about E-QIP sponsored jointly by Addictions and Mental Health Ontario, Canadian Mental Health Association Ontario, and Health Quality Ontario. We attended one of the first information sessions describing the work that E-QIP was planning to do across the province. We immediately thought this was the answer we were looking for to help us improve our use of OCAN and the recovery plans that were being developed for each of the members of our center. Most small organizations like ours have few resources to focus on evaluation and quality improvement. We did the best with what we had, but here was an opportunity to get some help and to do even better. E-QIP would bring their expertise on evaluation and quality improvement to help us understand the challenges to integrating the OCAN data into the recovery plans and program planning, and would give us the ability to pull the data to use in a meaningful way for sustainability and spread. This help is hands-on with the E-QIP coaches supporting us every step of the way. A visit from Sandra Cunning from E-QIP to our center sealed the deal. We wanted in. She helped us flesh out our ideas and grow some excitement at the thought of applying to be the E-QIP project. There were two main reasons to why we really felt it was important to participate. First, as Jennifer said, there are provincial groups using the data through the integrated assessment record in the planning and development of services and programming in Ontario. We wanted to be part of that grand effort. Second, quality improvement is a requirement in our multi-sectoral accountability agreement with our LIN. We look forward to using our data to affect programming and serve our members in our best ability. The OCAN is valued for its ability to measure social determinants of health and to help our organization strengthen people's community tenure and full participation. It also allows staff to tailor recovery plans and measure whether those plans are being effective. So we applied to be one of the 32 E-QIP projects across the province, and I'm happy to say we were accepted. Our current state. We have approximately 10 to 15% of recovery plans being reviewed and written. The goal of this project is to increase the integration of the OCAN data into recovery planning up to 50% by the end of the project. Going into the project, we identified three main sources of information. One was actual OCAN data. Two were our recovery plans and the number of needs addressed. Third was CRIMIS. Well, CRIMIS is our software program. CRIMIS data and the needs identified through the tracking of quick notes, service recipient interactions, could be measured. We would expect to see an increase of OCAN needs reflected in the recovery plans and in the CRIMIS data. We are still going through training and development and continuously learning through the E-QIP process. These three sources will be refined and perhaps even changed. Okay. All right, the benefits of E-QIP. First of all is the resources for small programs to establish quality improvement practices. As I said, although we were following what the requirements were of the LIN, we really didn't have a good understanding, nor do I believe did we submit a very good quality improvement plan to them. E-QIP is training us with information that's changing our outlook and our approach to our quality improvement plan. So, second bullet, coaches and with expertise are available. We have two coaches at our beck and call. They are very responsive to every single one of our needs, and they are helping us every step of the way. Training and opportunities, information sessions are being offered throughout the province, and not only am I attending those information sessions, but our team with the E-QIP project is also attending those. And I have to tell you, we have learned such an incredible amount of information. It's really immeasurable, the kind of information we've gained. It's going to affect the way that we do quality improvement in the program from this point forward. And finally, I thought I understood quality improvement, but with the information that we've learned, I'm really going to start to make the changes in our quality improvement plan, which we submit to the LIN, and it has affected the culture of quality improvement that we have in our organization. So I'm going to show you this next diagram. Don't be overwhelmed by it. There's lots of arrows and words, but just let me tell you a quick story about it. This is this is called a fishbone diagram, and this is what we went through with our coaches. With the help of our coach, Tara McKendrick, she took us through the process of a diagnostic tool, this is the fishbone, that helped us sort out what the issues are with getting the work that we need to do done for the OCAN. And what was interesting in our learnings was that we went to the table thinking we knew exactly what the problem was and what the solution needed to be. But in going through the diagnostic practice, we discovered that there were actually a couple more factors that were affecting our ability to do OCANs and recovery plans well. And in identifying those unknown and unexpected factors, we now have some information that will increase our opportunity for success. I also want to thank Andrew Spann, who's our data IT support coach. He put together this lovely diagram. I could never do this in 100 years. Okay. So moving forward, before I go into the bullet points for this, yesterday we took our fishbone diagram to a training session that were with other E-QIP projects from around Ontario, and we were able in that session to learn about the next steps. So once you've diagnosed the problem, the next part is determining what kinds of changes you need to make to the organization. So it's the next step in the research efforts, in the process of doing E-QIP well. We are now in the stages of trying to figure out what are the strategies we need to put in place to make change to our organization that will give us the opportunity to be successful in how we do our OCAN plans and how we use them for our recovery plans. So moving forward, what did we expect our outcomes to be from being part of the E-QIP project? Well, first of all, better implementation of OCANs. We thought we were doing them well, but we are now learning there's much better ways to do them. We've already begun the list of strategic ideas for change. We could have OCANs being better informed and having more effective recovery plans. We would use the OCAN data for program planning, and we are looking at capacity and spread of our project to our own satellite clubhouse in Port Colborne, and called the Lake House, and then to share our methodology with clubhouses throughout Ontario and perhaps even Canada. We want to use this idea to develop research plans so that we can use our data to show evidence of the impact of our programs on members' mental health. So we want to have evidence, and one way to do that is to not only have it for our organization, but have it for clubhouses across Canada. And finally, we really want to grow quality improvement as a culture across the province to other programs that also use OCAN. We think it would be great benefit when we are able to talk about and share our different findings. So finally, thank you so very much. There's my contact information. Please don't hesitate to call me. I'd love to give you any information you need or help in any way that I can. Okay, just a moment. I'm going to pass you back to Michael.
Thank you very much, Rue. I feel like I should be writing you a check for the ringing endorsement of E-QIP. Now we just want to get another perspective on the use of the OCAN and helping that. So we're going to now pass it over to Kim Lewis, who's with CMHA York South Simcoe branch. So Kim, I'm going to now give you control of my screen.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Rue. That was really inspiring to hear you speak about the work that you're doing with OCAN and E-QIP. I'm going to spend some time talking to you about a model of care that CMHA York Region and South Simcoe is implementing that focuses on the integration of the OCAN reports to provide evidence-based practice. My slide won't advance.
Are you having challenges advancing it?
Yeah, it won't advance. So maybe if you want to advance it.
Yeah, I can do that.
My apologies. I don't see the screen at all now. Sorry, I can't see the webinar screen.
My apologies, folks. We're having a short technical issue here. We'll get it back up for you in a moment. Hopefully it's back up now.
Yes, I have it now. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you. So CMHA York Region and South Simcoe strives to provide a model of care that maximizes the use of OCAN reports to determine service needs based on consumer-identified recovery goals, a model of care that uses OCAN reports to support evidence-based programming that focuses on providing seamless transition into, out of, and between programs and addresses wait times for service, and that supports staff to complete high-quality OCAN. Some of the identified problems that we were having were long wait lists for service. Also, individual recovery goals were not, recovery needs were not being addressed at the earliest point possible. Staff were not receiving consistent OCAN training, and staff were not sure how to ask those difficult questions during the assessment and in goal setting. The OCAN quality was not consistently being monitored, and reports were not being accessed. We wanted to achieve no wait for services, ongoing contact with individuals on a wait list for service, and a way to provide immediate short-term support, smooth and seamless transitions into and out of and between programs. We wanted to provide programming based on consumer-identified needs and consistent monitoring of OCAN quality through an OCAN working group. One of our identified challenges is that when people would call for services, there's often a need for an immediate support, but long wait lists for services could be a barrier to the recovery. So this is a slide that shows our previous model of care. With our internal programs, an individual would call, they would have an intake assessment completed, and then they would be put on a wait list for an internal program. Community Connections, you can see, is highlighted in green, and that's one of our programs where a consumer can have direct access to group-based services. So there was no wait list for service in our Community Connections program. What we were noticing was that when it was time for consumers to engage in programs, sometimes their needs had changed since their initial assessment. Sometimes they were no longer interested in the apply for service, or they had gone elsewhere to receive it. Sometimes their contact information had changed and we had lost the ability to contact them. And there had not been a consistent structure in place to support clients who were on a wait list for our services with CMHA. So what could we change? We had a tool, we knew it, we had the OCAN. We started to think about how we could use it more effectively. We identified that we could use OCAN results and IAR reports as tools to gather information about collective consumer needs from our services and programs. We could use common consumer-identified unmet needs to map service delivery options through group-based programming in our Community Connections program, which again has no wait list. And we could monitor the quality of the OCANs completed by using the report results to determine staff training needs, as well as consumer recovery needs. How would we know that our mission was achieved? Service delivery would represent consumer-identified needs that were available through the OCAN reports. Barriers to services are consistently identified through reports, and strategies will be put in place to address these barriers. Staff will receive timely, high-quality OCAN training that continuously monitors areas of development needed to support the integrity of the OCAN. So what did we do to move this forward? We developed a project charter to support the OCAN facilitator training, to be able to offer that continuous training to new staff, as well as refresher training to current staff. We set up an OCAN working group to monitor quality improvement, and we meet quarterly to review the reports on staff usage and to review any updates that staff need to be informed of. The OCAN working group looks at ways to promote the OCAN domains to staff. So for example, I'll be sharing with you shortly a presentation called Do Ask, Do Tell that our occupational therapist developed to help staff with asking those difficult questions in specific domains. We also enhanced our Community Connections program by developing groups based on consumer-identified needs. So this is the model of care that we wanted to look at, a model of care based on OCAN domains. So this is an example of that model of care and how we would manage client flow by using the OCAN domains to structure programs. So you can see a consumer would have an intake assessment at point of entry into our programs. While they're waiting for a specified service, for example, our employment program, our psychotherapy, clinical counseling, or our sort of community treatment team, they would have immediate access to services by utilizing the OCAN domains to provide structured group-based support. By looking at Report 4A, which is the unmet and met needs from the consumer self-assessment, you can see that the top 3 areas identified were psychological distress, company, and money. So we were able to develop group programming focused on domains that our client population had identified as the greatest areas of unmet need. And this slide is an example of what that looks like. Consumer would have an intake assessment. They would be invited to attend our new member orientation session. While they're waiting for their specified program, so in this example it's employment support, they would have access to groups under psychological distress. So some examples of the groups that we offer were IMR, stress management, support for depression. They would have access to groups under our company domain, which is chit chat group, group outings, and the money domain, which is the ODSP group, career cafe, and budgeting. And that's we do offer quite a few more programs. So it's just an example of the groups that we provide in the top 3 domains. But it helped us to know where we needed to focus. So moving forward, this model of care supports the need for staff to complete an OCAN that provides quality information, because group-based services can be developed based on reports that show consumer-identified unmet needs. This model of care integrates the OCAN with service provision, therefore increasing the need to monitor quality and changes to collective consumer needs. So now we've started to look at how reports can be used to increase quality. The OCAN Quality Improvement Working Group identified an issue by reviewing the OCAN IAR reports 2A and 2B. 2A is the need analysis from the consumer self-assessment. It identifies unclear needs. And 2B is the need analysis from the staff assessment, and it identifies unknown needs. So you can see out of 192 self-assessment OCANs that were done, 30% had unclear needs in the areas of sexual expression and 14% in the areas of intimate relationships. In the staff assessments completed, out of 441 staff assessments, 50% of those staff identified an unknown need in the area of sexual expression and 29% in intimate relationships. So we know that there's a need around these domains, and we started to think about why. Why is this a problem? What could it be? Is it lack of knowledge? Is it staff comfort level? Could it be uncertainty of the staff role and not asking the right questions? Our occupational therapists wanted to increase the comfort levels and provide communication tools for staff to be able to address sexuality with clients and ultimately decrease the number of unknown responses when completing the OCAN. Excuse me. The aim is to increase participants' awareness of their own perceptions, beliefs, and values related to sexuality, to increase knowledge and understanding of sexuality and its importance in a healthcare setting, and to increase comfort levels on the topic of sexuality, to provide communication tools to address sexuality with our clients. So again, looking at slides 2A and 2B, the goal was to decrease the percentage of unknown responses for sexual expression in intimate relationship domains. We also continue to look at report 4B. Our goal is to increase met and unmet need percentages for these domains of intimate relationships and sexual expressions in the staff assessment. So again, out of 463 OCANs completed, there's currently an 18% and a 10% response rate in staff assessment in these domains as a met or an unmet need. And again, 4A, our goal is again to increase the met and unmet need percentages. Out of 201 self-assessments completed, only 40% and 29% identify an unmet or met need. This indicates that there's uncertainty as staff and consumers are not answering the domain questions as a met or unmet need. So this slide just shows what the occupational therapists developed and presented to staff as an educational session on how to support asking these domain questions. From this slide, you can see what they identified as important factors to address during their presentation, and I won't go through all of them. They also used the guiding questions for the related domains to increase staff awareness. So again, moving forward, this is a work in progress for us, but we have a real focus and a commitment to quality. Our OCAN facilitators continue to provide bi-monthly training opportunities for new staff and refresher trainings to current staff. Our OCAN Quality Improvement Working Group meets quarterly to review our reports and make recommendations to services and programs. And we have a commitment to recovery through consumer choice for service delivery. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Kim. That was fantastic. I wonder if you could just put your phone on mute. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to get to questions very shortly, but before we do, I just wanted to let people know, a reminder that all of the information that's presented today, all of the resources that Jennifer spoke about will be posted on the E-QIP community of practice, and you're welcome to access them there, either by going to that link or emailing us at E-QIP. And we can also have some further discussions about the OCAN on that community of practice if you're so interested. This is a list of all the things that will be shared, so lots of good stuff for you. And just wanted to share two other resources of note. Some recent webinars that were done by CMHA Ontario and the OCAN folks. So you may want to check out these links as well to access those webinars. And if you'd like to learn more about E-QIP, you can do that by accessing these web pages, either CMHA Ontario or Addictions Mental Health Ontario, and you'll find lots of information about us as well as past webinars and videos posted there for you to view. So I'm going to now just go to the question list, and the first question that we have is actually a question for Jennifer, and that question is, talked a lot about the different reports that are available, but where are those reports and how can people get access to them?
Hi, so you can, if you're an organization that's using OCAN and for the aggregate reports submitting OCANs to the IAR, you can access those aggregate reports. The best first step is to email the email address that was in my slide deck for CCIM, and I will support, it usually goes to me, I'll support you on how to do it. Basically, it's just filling out one form, one simple form. The way it works is that there's one health information network provider called Transform Shared Services Organization that holds the reports. And once you fill out the form, you get an account and a password, username and password, and then when you go into, and then a link to how to get into the reports portal, and then you get in, and you're the only one with your organization's reports would only be available to your organization through that reports portal. So the logistics of that, I'm happy to help anybody. So all you really have to do is email the service desk of CCIM and say, I'm interested in my reports, and then we'll work with you one-on-one.
Okay, thank you very much, Jennifer. And just remind folks too, if you do have any additional questions, please type them in the question box. We have a couple minutes set aside. The second question that we received is also for Jennifer, and that is, Jennifer, are you available to meet staff and give feedback to a staff group? Is that part of your role?
Yes, it is. So because there's only one of me for the whole province, the meetings that I hold are remote, are by phone, and we can also put up a webinar as well. So I have had a number of organizations have a specific reason or issues or feedback that they want to discuss with the provincial body that is helping to support OCAN. And so all you have to do again is email that service desk and say, we'd like to meet with Jennifer Zosky, and we will schedule, that goes to me, and we can schedule a meeting. It's helpful for me to know the specific focus of the meeting, whether it's training issues or whether you want to give me feedback for the next version of OCAN, things like that. But we're happy to do that for sure.
Thank you, Jennifer, and you're very popular. The next question is for you as well, and that is for report number 4, that is met and unmet needs. This seems to indicate it is based on the consumer self-assessment. In the case of a client who declines doing ongoing self-assessments, is there an option to run this or a similar report using staff OCAN information with client participation?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I should have said this when I did the reports. There's so many reports. We do have a webinar on all of our reports. I only did a few examples. So what you'll be happy to hear is that there is always a staff version. There's a consumer self-assessment version and a staff assessment version. So when you see 2A, 2B, 4A, 4B, the A is the consumer self-assessment one, and then the B, which is the staff ratings of the needs, will be there as well. And there are, depending on the program and the type of population you're serving, there could be a high percentage of clients who are not completing the self-assessment, and so you certainly can review the staff perspective with client participation and make some decisions from that.
Okay, thank you again, Jennifer. And that seems to be the end of the questions, which is good timing because it's 4 minutes after 1. So again, I just want to thank the participants, Jennifer, Rue, and Kim, for taking the time to share your experiences and knowledge with us today. And thanks to everyone who participated. And we just ask that you take a few minutes to complete the survey for this session today. And the link to that should be in the chat box as well as on your screen now. And that'll help us in planning future webinars to make sure that they meet your needs. If you have any questions about any of the material you've heard today or would like more information, please feel free to contact any of the folks who spoke. Their contact information is on the slide deck, or myself and Sandra, and we can make you or help you get connected with them. And Jennifer just has one more word before we say goodbye.
Thanks, Mike. Rue just reminded me that we wanted to share with you that, as I said in my presentation, there is a community of interest for OCAN stakeholders specifically, and on the E-QIP community of practice, we will post the link of how to go onto the online space for the OCAN community of practice that's managed by CAM8 Evidence Exchange Network. So I think it's wonderful these communities of practice, both for E-QIP and for OCAN, exist. And that is another forum. You could bring it to the service desk at CCAM, but another great forum that's being quite active is that you can post questions, challenges, issues on the community of interest, and you'll get response from other folks in the sector. Thanks.
And on that final note, we'll say thank you one more time to everybody for participating. And a reminder, this will be recorded and available for you on the community of practice as well as the resources. So thank you very much.